The 28th ladder. This ladder consists of 8 matters. The first matter, which is the first part. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. If it be that you can interpret dreams. Secondly, you want me to interpret now the dream you had 3 years ago, 3 days after meeting me, whose meaning has long since become apparent. That beautiful, happy, and auspicious dream has been consigned to the past. So I am right to say the following regarding it, am I not? I am neither the night nor a lover of the night. I am a servant of the sun. It is of the sun that I speak. Those illusions which are the snare of the saints are the moon-faced reflections of the garden of God. Yes, my brother, we have become accustomed to discussing with you teachings concerning pure reality, but to study dreams, the doors of which are open to fancy and illusion in order to ascertain reality, is not completely in keeping with our way of researching into and verifying reality. So, in connection with that minor incident of sleep, we shall explain 6 points about the reality of sleep, the small brother of death, according to scholarly principles and from the angle indicated by verses of the Qur'an. In the 7th, we shall offer a brief interpretation of your dream. The first, just as an important element of Surah Yusuf is Joseph's dream, so the Qur'an indicates with many of its verses, such as, "And we made your sleep for rest," that dreams and sleep may hold important, true veiled truths. The second, verifiers of reality do not favor trusting in the interpretation of dreams and taking of omens through the Qur'an. For the all-wise Qur'an strikes at the unbelievers frequently and severely, and if such severity is shown towards the person who takes omens, it causes him to despair and confuses his heart. Dreams also, because although they are good, they are thought to be evil and sometimes appear to be opposed to reality, may cause a person to fall into despair, destroy his moral, and make him think badly of things. There are many dreams, the meanings and interpretations of which are very good, although the form they take is terrifying, injurious, or unclean. Not everyone can discover the relation between the form of a dream takes and its true meaning, so they become unnecessarily anxious, despairing, and unhappy. It was only because of these aspects of dreams that, like Imam Rabbani and the verifiers of reality, I said at the beginning, I am neither the night nor a lover of the night. The third, an authentic hadith states that one of the 40 parts of prophethood was made manifest in the form of true dreams during sleep, which means that true dreams are both valid and have a connection with the functions of prophethood. This third point is both important and lengthy and profound and related to prophethood, so I am postponing it to another time and not opening this door for now. The fourth, dreams are of 3 sorts. 2 of them in the words of the Qur'an are a confused medley of dreams and not worth interpreting. If they have any meaning, it is of no importance. Either due to some ailment, the power of imagination mixes things up and depicts them accordingly, or it recalls some stimulating event that happened to the person that day, or previously, or even at the same time a year or 2 earlier, and it modifies and reproduces it in some other form. These are both a confused medley of dreams and not worth interpreting. The third sort are true dreams, when the senses that bind man to the manifest world and roam in it rest and cease their activity, the dominical subtle faculty in man's make-up forms a direct relation with world of the unseen and opens up a window onto it. Through the window, it looks on events that are in preparation. It comes face to face with the manifestations of the preserved tablet and some samples of the missives of divine determining. It beholds some true occurrences. Sometimes the imagination governs in such dreams, dressing them in the garments of form. There are numerous types and levels of this sort of dream. Sometimes they turn out exactly as dreamed. Sometimes they turn out slightly obscured, as though under a fine veil, and sometimes they turn out heavily veiled. It is narrated in Hadith that the dreams God's most noble messenger, upon whom the blessings and peace, had at the outset of the revelations turned out as true and clear as the breaking of morning. The fifth, true dreams are a higher development of premonitions. Everyone has premonitions to a greater or lesser degree. Animals even have them. At one time, I discovered two senses including premonition scientifically, additional to the well-known external and inner senses, such as the unconscious instinctive senses that impel and stimulate, and hearing and sight. Philosophers and the people of misguidance mistakenly and foolishly call those little known senses natural instinct. God forbid. They are not natural instinct. Divine determining impels human beings and animals through a sort of innate inspiration. For example, if some animals, like cats, lose their sight, through this impulse of divine determining, they go and find a plant that heals their eyes and rub it on them, and they get better. Also, birds of prey, like eagles, which similarly to the public health officials of the earth are charged with the duty of removing the carcasses of nomadic animals, are informed through that impulse of divine determining, that inspiration of the sense of premonition, that divine drive of animal remains a day's distance away, and they go and find them. Also, a young bee newly come into the world flies a day's distance when only a day old without losing its way, and through that drive of divine determining and inspiring impulse returns to its hive. Also, it happens frequently to everyone that while speaking of someone, the door opens and totally unexpectedly the same person enters. There is even a saying in Kurdish which goes, "Talk of the wolf and ready your gun, for it's bound to appear." That is to say, through a premonition, that dominical subtle faculty pursues the person's arrival in summary fashion. But since the conscious mind does not comprehend it, it prompts him to speak of it, not intentionally, but involuntarily. Intuitive people sometimes say that someone is coming almost miraculously. At one time, I, myself, even was acutely sensitive in this way. I wanted to incorporate the condition into a principle, but was unable to adapt it and couldn't. However, in righteous people, and particularly the people of sainthood, premonition develops to a high degree, showing its effects wondrously. Thus, ordinary people even may manifest a sort of sainthood by virtue of which, in true dreams, they dream of things appertaining to the unseen and the future like the saints. Yes, for ordinary people, in respect of true dreams, sleep may resemble a degree of sainthood. So too, it is for everyone a splendid dominical cinema. However, those with good morals think good thoughts, and someone who has good thoughts dreams of good things. But since those with bad morals think bad thoughts, they dream of bad things. Furthermore, for everyone, true dreams are windows in the manifest world that look onto the world of the unseen. For restricted, ephemeral human beings, they are also an arena of infinite proportions manifesting a sort of eternity, and a place for gazing on the past and the future as though they were the present. They are also a resting place for beings with spirits, crushed as they are beneath the responsibilities of life and who suffer great hardship. It is for reasons similar to this that, with verses like, "And we made your sleep for rest," the all-wise Qur'an teaches about sleep, giving it importance. The sixth and most important, having experienced them numerous times, true dreams have become for me decisive proofs at the degree of absolute certainty that divine determining encompasses all things. Especially the last few years, these dreams have reached such a degree that they have made me certain that the most insignificant events and unimportant dealings and even the most commonplace conversations I will have the following day are written and ordained before they occur, and that by dreaming of them the night before, I have read them not with my tongue, but with my eyes. Not once, not 100 times, but perhaps 1,000 times. The things I have said in my dreams, or the people I have dreamed of at night, although I had not thought of them at all, have turned out exactly or with little interpretation the following day. It means that the most trivial things are both recorded and written before they happen. That is to say, there is no chance or coincidence. Events do not occur haphazardly. They are not without order. The seventh, your beautiful, blessed, and auspicious dream was very good for the Qur'an and for us. Also, time has interpreted it and is interpreting it. There is no need for me to do so. Its partial interpretation also turned out well. If you study it carefully, you will understand. I shall point out only one or two aspects. That is, I shall explain a truth. The visions you have had, which are like the true meanings of dreams, are the representations of those true meanings. It is like this. That vast field was the world of Islam. The mosque at its end was the province of Sparta. The muddy water around it was the swamp of the desolateness, idleness, and innovations of the present time. Your swiftly reaching the mosque safely and without being contaminated by the mud was a sign that you took up the lights of the Qur'an before everyone else and had remained unspoiled with your heart uncorrupted. The small congregation in the mosque consisted of some of the people who have taken the words upon themselves, like Hakkı, Hulusi, Sabri, Süleyman, Rüştü, Bekir, Mustafa, Ali, Zühtü, Lütfi, Hüsrev, and Refat. As for the small platform, it was a small village like Barla. The loud voice was an allusion to the power and rapid speed of the words. The place assigned to you in the first row was that vacated for you by Abdurrahman. The indication and fact that the congregation, as though wireless receivers, wanted to make the whole world hear its teachings, will turn out at a later date, God willing. If the people now are like small seeds, with divine assistance, in the future they will all be like tall trees and telegraph offices. As for the turbaned youth, he is someone who will work together with Hulusi or even surpass him. He is destined to become one of the students and those who disseminate the words. I can think of some of them, but I cannot say it definitely. The youth is someone who will come into prominence through the power of sainthood. You can interpret the remaining points instead of me. Speaking with friends like you is both agreeable and acceptable, so I have spoken at length about this brief matter, and perhaps I have been prodigal. But since I began with the intention of showing a way of expounding the Qur'an's verses about sleep, God willing, my prodigality will be forgiven or not be prodigality even. The second part, which is the second matter. This was written to put a stop to and solve a significant argument about the hadith, which describes how Moses, upon whom be peace, struck Azrael, upon whom be peace, in the eye, and the rest of the story. I heard a scholarly argument in eRider. It was wrong to hold such an argument, especially at this time, but I did not know it was an argument. I was asked a question and shown a hadith in a reliable book marked with a kaf, which signifies the agreements of the two sheikhs, Bukhari and Muslim. They asked me, is it a hadith or isn't it? I replied that one should have confidence in someone who, in a reliable book such as that, cites the agreements of the two sheikhs concerning a hadith. It means it is a hadith. However, hadiths may contain allegorical obscurities like the Qur'an, and only experts can ascertain their meanings. Even the literal meaning of this hadith suggests that it may belong to the allegorical category of those obscure ones. If I had known that it was a point of argument, I would not have given such a short answer and would have replied as follows. Firstly, the primary condition for discussing matters of this sort is to argue fairly, intending to discover the truth. It is permissible for those who know about the subject to discuss it, so long as they do not do so stubbornly nor give rise to misunderstanding. Evidence that such an argument is for the sake of the truth is that if the truth emerges through the opposite party, a person is not upset but pleased, for he will have learned something he did not know. If it had emerged through him, he would not have learned much and might well have become arrogant. Secondly, if the argument is about a hadith, the categories of hadith have to be known, as well as the types of implicit revelation and the varieties of prophetic speech. It is not permissible to discuss ambiguous hadiths among the ordinary people and to show off and justify oneself like a lawyer and to rely on egotism to support one's arguments rather than on truth and right. The question being broached and argued about is having an adverse effect on the minds of the poor ordinary people. They cannot comprehend obscure allegorical hadiths like this, and if they deny them, it opens the terrifying door to their also denying definite, unambiguous hadiths that they cannot understand with their limited intelligences. If they take the hadith on face value and accept the literal meaning and they spread it around, it paves the way for the people of misguidance to object to it and call it superstition. Since attention has been attracted to these allegorical hadiths unnecessarily and harmfully, and there are many hadiths of this sort, it is essential to offer an explanation that will remove their doubts. Whether or not the hadith is certain, the following fact should be mentioned. We may deem sufficient the detailed explanations in the treatises we have written, that is, the 12 principles in the 3rd branch of the 24th word, and in the 4th branch, and in one of the principles in the introduction in the 19th letter about the source of revelation, and here indicate only briefly that truth. It is as follows. The angels are not restricted to having single form like human beings. Although they are individual beings, they are also universals. Azrael, upon whom be peace, is the supervisor of the angels who are charged with taking possession of the spirits of the dying. Question: does Azrael, upon whom be peace, himself take possession of them, or do his helpers do this? There are 3 ways in this matter. The first way: Azrael, upon whom be peace, takes possession of every dying person's spirit. Nothing is an obstacle to another, for he is luminous. Something luminous can be present in innumerable places by means innumerable mirrors and appear in them. The similitudes of luminous beings possess their characteristics. They may be deemed the same as them and not other than them. The sun's image in mirrors displays its light and heat. Similarly, the images of such spirit beings as the angels in the various mirrors of the world of similitudes are the same as them. They display their characteristics, but they are represented in accordance with the capacities of the mirrors. The same instant Gabriel, upon whom be peace, appeared before the companions in the form of the he appeared in different forms in thousands of places, and was prostrating with his magnificent wings, which stretch from east to west, before the divine throne. His similitude was everywhere in accordance with the place's capacity. At the same instant, he was present in thousands of places. According to this way, for the human and particular image of the angel of death, represented in a human being's mirror when he is taking possession of his spirit to receive the blow of a resolute, angry, awe-inspiring person like Moses, upon whom be peace, and for that image form which resembled the angel of death's clothes, to have his eye put out would be neither impossible, nor extraordinary, nor irrational. The second way, the archangels Gabriel, Michael, and Azrael are like general supervisors. They have helpers that are similar to them in kind and resemble them, but are lesser than them. The assistants differ according to the sorts of creatures. Those who take possession of the spirits of the righteous are of one sort, while those who take possession of the spirits of the wicked are of another, as the following verses point out. By the angels who tear out the souls of the wicked with violence, by those who gently draw out the souls of the blessed. Note, in my native land, the angel of death charged with taking possession of the saints' spirits came while a great saint well known as Sayda was in the throes of death. Sayda shouted out beseeching the divine court, "I love students of the religious sciences, so let the angel charged with taking possession of their souls take possession of mine." Those who were present testified to this incident. In view of this way, it is perfectly reasonable that, because he was naturally awe-inspiring and brave and was an acceptable suppliant of God, Moses, upon whom be peace, should have dealt a blow not at Azrael, upon whom be peace, but at the wraith-like body of one of his helpers. Note, in my native land, even a very bold man saw the angel of death while he was in the throes of death. He said, "You are seizing me while I am lying in my bed." And he got up, mounted his horse, and challenged him, taking his sword in his hand. He died on horseback like a man. The third way, as is explained in the fourth principle in the 29th word, and is indicated by some hadiths, there are some angels who have 40,000 heads, and in each of their heads are 40,000 tongues, which means that they also have 80,000 eyes, and with each of those tongues they utter 40,000 divine glorifications. Yes, since the duties the angels are charged with are in accordance with the source of beings of the manifest world, they represent those species glorifications in the spirit world. It is certain to be thus, for the globe of the earth is a creature, it glorifies Almighty God. It has not 40,000, but perhaps 100,000 sorts of beings, which are like heads. Each sort has hundreds of thousands of individual members, which are like tongues, and so on. That means the angel appointed to the earth must have not 40,000 heads, but hundreds of thousands, and in every head must be hundreds of thousands of tongues, and so on. Thus, according to this way, Azrael, upon whom be peace, has a face and an eye that looks to each person. When Moses, upon whom be peace, struck Azrael, upon whom be peace. It was not directed at his essential self and his true form, and it was not an insult or non-acceptance. He struck and strikes in the eye the being who drew attention to his death and wanted to prevent his work, because he wanted his duties of prophethood to continue forever. God knows best what is right. None knows the unseen save God. Say, the knowledge is with God alone. He it is who has sent down to you the book. In it are verses basic or fundamental of established meaning. They are the foundation of the book. Others are allegorical. But those in whose hearts is perversity follow the part thereof that is allegorical, seeking discord and searching for its hidden meanings. But no one knows its hidden meanings except God. And those who are firmly grounded in knowledge say, we believe in the book. The whole of it is from our sustainer, and none will grasp the message except men of understanding.